Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another April full month nothing new video. I'm still so excited about this month's theme. I hope you guys don't get tired of me talking about it, but thanks to all of you that left such great feedback for me. I'm so happy to hear that you guys are excited about it too. So today's video, I thought it would be fun to sit down and film a very unplanned, impromptu kind of get ready with me. If you are not subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the rest of my full month nothing new. And with that said, let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright guys, so it is the afternoon and I did just wipe off the little bit of foundation that I had on my face because basically I just had a little bit of foundation, a little bit of mascara for running errands this morning. I wiped that off and I still think I have some remnants of mascara. Hopefully that won't cause some problems, but everything else I just removed with a makeup wipe. I want to start off by priming with this little thing right here. So this is from Garnier. This is their Glow Boost Illuminating Moisturizer. So this came as a sample when I repurchased another bottle of my micellar water. I go through this stuff like water. But I did try this out once a couple weeks ago and I was kind of impressed with it. So we're going to use this again today. You can see it's just kind of a medium flesh toned color, sort of shimmery looking primer. This actually looks, if you can see it right here, it reminds me a little bit of the Milani Glow. Oh, I just picked that up not too long ago, but I think it's called like their Glow Primer or Glow Lotion. A couple people have been talking about it. I think I heard Allie Gline say it was a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless filter, which I went out that night and picked it up at my Walmart because you guys know I've had my eye on that Flawless filter for a long time. It is still sold out in my shade, but now I'm wondering if I even want to pick it up if this thing that I just purchased is a dupe for it. So this has a really nice soft kind of citrus smell, but you can see it kind of gave my skin a little bit just like a healthy radiance. And it feels a little bit tacky, but in the best way, not sticky, just slightly tacky. I'm very curious to see how much the full size of this is. I would assume that you would get this probably where the skincare is in like a Walmart or a Target. To go along with that very glowy base, for foundation I want to go in with my Flower Beauty Light Illusion. I haven't used this in a while and I know this is one of my favorite foundations, but I've been trying out quite a few different foundations over the last couple of months. So I've kind of neglected this one, so I'm just going to put this on with my fingers because this is kind of, when I'm just winging it, I usually put a lot of things on with my fingers. I love this foundation. You guys see how that just kind of gives my skin the most perfect medium coverage, gives it that nice glow and kind of just lets everything just kind of peek through, like all the good stuff peek through and covers all the bad stuff. It's definitely a good one from the drugstore if you like glowy foundations. So to keep things nice and glowy, I'm going to go in with what I consider to be my most glowy under eye concealer, and it's the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. It's a very different concealer. You can't really use this concealer in the exact same way that you use a typical kind of doe foot concealer like the Too Faced concealer or say ColourPop's concealer. What other concealers do I love? Even the Maybelline Age Rewind concealer. This one's much more thick and kind of pasty, and I know that these sound like terrible descriptive words, like who would want a thick pasty concealer, but if you take a little bit of time and really work this thing into your skin, I really like it, especially if you have a lot of kind of fine lines under your eyes. I think it's one of those products that can work really well for people that have fine lines, or no, I would say it works really good for people that are extra sensitive to concealers making their under eyes feel and look very dry. This concealer never looks dry on me, but it takes some time to work it into the skin and really get it the right consistency. If you use too much, it's going to look terrible. If you don't use enough, it's not going to do anything. It just takes some practice and some finessing to get this concealer to work just right for you. I do think this shade is a hair too light for me. I want to go pick up the next shade down because this works okay for me in the middle of winter, but as I start to get a little bit more tan, you can see it's just a little bit too bright for my under eye area. I'm usually not a big fan of having a significant color difference between my under eye area and the rest of my face. So I took the tiniest amount and I still have quite a bit left on my fingers. I'm just going to take what's left and put a little bit right here to kind of add some brightness right there and right under my nose and then right on the sides of my mouth. So I'm kind of almost just highlighting down the center of my face a little bit. I know I mentioned this, I think in the last video I uploaded a couple videos ago where I was, I think, talking about my bronzers. So I talked about the video that Tati put up a couple of weeks ago where she had Scott Barnes come on her channel. One of you even mentioned how much you loved that video, and I totally agree. That was one of the few videos that I watched and then I saved it for later for when I had time to sit down and really pay attention so I could really study that video because it was absolutely fascinating. Anyways, in that video, he uses a lot of cream products. He does things a little bit differently than what I did today. Like I think he puts his contour and highlight and concealer on first, and then he goes in with the foundation and just uses a little bit less foundation. But he did really get me inspired to use cream bronzer. So we're going to be using this thing today. So this is the Wet n Wild Cream Contour Stick in the color Where's Walnut. Now I want to say they might be discontinuing this because when I was recently linking this in one of my videos, I went to try to find it and it looks like the only place I could find it left was on Wet n Wild's website, and it was on sale and most of the shades were gone. And I think they didn't even say out of stock. I think they said no longer available. So if you see this in your Walmart, if you're really into trying out a cream product and you don't want to spend a lot of money, I think this is a really good one. I've been really happy with this. I mean, I've only been using it for like 3 weeks now, but as far as someone that's very inexperienced with cream products, but I've really been loving this stuff. So we're even going to do my nose, even though I don't usually do this. I'm going to start blending on my nose before I have a lot of product on here because I don't want to get too much product on my nose. I would love to know, how many of you guys contour your nose regularly? Seems like so many people that do makeup here on YouTube often do that step, and I wonder in real life how many people actually do that, because I'll admit, I don't. But I also admit that I am not the most practiced or knowledgeable when it comes to makeup applications, so maybe I should do it more. By the way, this brush that I'm using is from Moda Brushes. This came in that set that I talked about in my last video, the Mythical set. It's actually a great brush for cream products. It works really good for cream contour. It's actually even a good foundation brush. It's just a little smaller than I typically like. It takes a little bit too long to put foundation on with a brush this small. So when I get to my cheeks, I kind of just like to tap this rather than kind of rub it because I don't want to pull off any of the product underneath. And I also find that that keeps me from moving this product in too large of an area, because while I want to blend it, I also don't want to have dark brown all over the side of my face, if that makes sense. So far, I think the thing I love the most about doing this is not that I don't like powder products or that I even necessarily think that they look bad or make my skin look bad, but something about using a cream product makes my skin look good, if that makes sense. So if you have dry skin, I'm telling you guys, and you have a little bit more time. I think that's the biggest issue with cream products for me is they take, I mean, it's taking me like 7 minutes to blend out this contour. Normally it takes me 30 seconds to put on my bronzer. So this takes a little bit more time, but if you have like a special occasion or something, try this out a few times, because I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but I feel like my skin looks a lot better than when I do just the whole kind of foundation, powder bronzer, powder blush kind of thing. So for highlighter today, sticking with the kind of liquid and cream products, you probably can guess which one I'm going to use. We're going to take the Makeup Revolution liquid highlighter in the color Champagne, and I'm just going to take a little bit of that on the back of my hand and the top of my finger and just kind of tap that in. I don't feel like I need very much because I feel like my skin already is looking really glowy. Hopefully this is not just all in my mind. I really feel like my skin looks a little bit more healthy than it typically does. Okay, I am thrilled with how this is looking. I'm not sure if I want to add a blush just because I feel like it might mess with the finish of everything. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my eyes first and then I'll decide if I want to do a blush. Plus by then maybe some of this cream will kind of set down. And so if I decide to do one, it'll work a little bit better. But let's go ahead and do the eyes. Okay, so I dug through my makeup drawers a little bit. And now if you guys watched my 7 looks from the Riviera palette video, my very favorite look that I did from that whole video was the look that I did in my intro and my outro, the purple kind of look. So I've been wanting to reach for purples again since I did that look. So I went through my collection and tried to find some other purples that I have just kind of laying around, and I found a couple that I want to try today. First off, I found this little quad from Wet n Wild. I picked this up when they reformulated their eyeshadow. They used to be trios, I think. This is just the purple quad that I think they've been making for years. I have never used this. I've swatched it a few times, but I don't think I've ever actually used this on my eyes, which is very sad to me because I'm pretty sure I've had that thing for at least a year. But before we go into that, I'm just going to prime my lids with a little bit of the Marc Jacobs primer that I picked up at Marshall's. I say that every time I use this primer. My mom and my sisters, we all do this, and anytime we find a really good deal on something, whether it's on camera or if I'm just around a friend or one of my sisters, if I pull the lip gloss out, I'm like, oh, look at this lip gloss I found for $7.99 at Marshall's. I have to tell people the great deal that I found. I'll even tell my husband about it, even though I know that he could care less that I only spent $7.99 on a lip gloss that normally costs $24. I can't help it. I can't stop myself. Do any of you guys do that? I would love to know. So we're gonna go in with this shade right here in the transition. So this is the Juvia's Place blending brush. I'm continuing to try and use these brushes, and I'm hoping at the end of the month I'll have a really good feel on just kind of what I think of these brushes, because I have mixed feelings about them. I think they work really well, but they feel different than most of my other brushes. I did talk about this a little bit in my Deuce palette video. So I want this to be a really nice kind of soft look, so I'm not gonna do any like harsh lines, which I rarely do on my eyes. I usually like my eyeshadow lines to be a little bit softer and kind of less clean, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm not digging that brush. Let's go back to my trusty Morphe. Where are you? M504, come to me. There you are. Okay, that brush is just not diffusing it quite enough, so I'm gonna go in with my Morphe M504, and we're just gonna try and, yeah, that's much better. Okay, so they have this shade in here that I think is really pretty. It is really pretty, but I have another product that I pulled out of my collection. So here's that shade swatch. That's a really pretty lid shade. But I did also pull this thing out of my collection. This is the Essence Metal Shock eyeshadow in the color Stars and Stories, I think is this one. I haven't used it for a couple of months, and that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna use this on the lid, and then we'll use this kind of on the inner like corner or third of the lid. But I think before I put that on, because it's a liquid and it has quite a bit of glitter in it, we're gonna darken up my crease first. Normally I do this last. So I'm going to take this dark purple right here, and I'm going to take the Morphe M507 brush, just a little tiny little brush, and we're just going to kind of add a little bit of depth right to this outer corner right here. So I'm kind of just like circling it right there. I'm not really even creating any sort of shape. I'm just basically placing it right here and kind of circling just to add a little bit of depth right there that's not going to be too widespread. Very lightly going to pull that in about halfway. There we go. Then I'm going to take what's left on the brush, and we're just going to slightly drag it under the outer part of that lower lash line. Okay, so I'm going to just take a little bit of this and just put it directly onto the middle of my eyelid. And I'm just going about 2/3 of the way across. Whoops, I went a little far right there. Then I'm going to take that initial brush from Juvia's Place. I'm just going to lightly kind of drag that over the top edge and the side there, just to make sure there's no harsh lines. Look how pretty that is. That's so pretty. Ooh, that's pretty. I've heard a few people talk about these liquid eyeshadows here on YouTube, but they definitely are not talked about enough. I think these are just as good. I mean, I only have like 2 of the Stila ones, but in my experience, I think these are just about as good. Okay, I think that is so pretty though. Oh, I love that. Okay, so now we're going to go into this light purple shade right here. I'm just going to take that on my pinky. I'm just going to put that right on that inner kind of third of the lid. Just overlapping that kind of glittery shade a little bit. Alright, now we're going to take the brow bone shade in here, and I'm just going to take this brush right here. This is the Juvia's Place small buffer brush. We're going to take this white right here, which is, I don't know about this white. It seems a little bit powdery to me, but we will see. You just really have to kind of dig your brush into there. It is a little bit kind of dusty and powdery. I'm going to also take this brush from Juvia's Place. This is the small definer brush, the kind of flat, it's like a concealer brush sort of. I'm going to pack a little bit of that just kind of right there on the tear duct. This seems like a shade that needs to be applied wet. I'm just going to get my brush a little bit wet and try that again. It's a little bit better. That'll have to do. I'm not loving that shade. I don't love the white in here, but these 3, very, very nice. So I know I put a little bit of dark under the lower lashes, but I want to take a little bit of this shade right here. I'm going to take that same buffer brush that I used under my brow bone. We're going to take some of that transition color and just run that halfway across just under the lower lashes. So I'm just going to run some of my e.l.f. eyebrow pencil in my eyebrows, and I will be right back. Okay, so I didn't realize that my battery died. I knew it was dying, but I didn't realize it had turned off my camera. So I did apply some liner on my upper waterline and a little bit to the outer corner of my lash line. I just kind of did a little bit of a baby wing. I used the L'Oreal Infallible Black Liner today, and then I applied a couple of coats of the L'Oreal Voluminous Mascara. Okay, so now as I kind of am looking at everything, I think the eyes look great, but I'm not quite sure what I want to do about my cheeks yet. I think they still look really good. I'm going to go into this little product right here. This is a highlighter. Well, it's kind of a highlighting bronzer. It can be a highlighter or a bronzer. I'm going to actually swirl this bottom corner of the shades together. I'm going to go in with this brush right here. This is the Aesthetica powder brush. I'm just going to take just a little bit onto my brush, but right between where I put that cream and that highlighter on top, I'm just kind of putting this kind of in between. This is pretty glowy, so I'm trying to use a really light hand. Hopefully kind of set things in place a little bit. Give me a little bit more depth. So I don't think I'm going to do blush today. So we're going to kind of pull this a little bit over onto the apples of my cheeks. It's going to stick with the purple eye and a nice bronzy cheek. I kind of like that combination. Alright, so for my lips today, I'm going to go in with this right here. This is Lazy Daisy from Dose of Colors, their liquid lipstick. I pulled this into my Shop My Stash that I did. I want to say it's been about a month now. I do want to do another one of those, but I don't think I want to do it for the month of April because I'm doing this full month of nothing new. I want to have no restrictions on what I can use that I already have in my collection. But if you guys want to see me do that again for the month of May, let me know in the comments below. But I pulled this into my Shop My Stash and I don't know if I ever used it. Alright guys, so there's the lip color. I'm going to add a little bit of gloss on top of that. I struggle so much with putting liquid lipsticks on. It's always such a struggle for me. I don't know why. But I do feel like I want a little bit of a nude gloss on top. This is NYX Butter Gloss in the color Madeline. With that, that completes this Get Ready With Me video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you guys so much for your enthusiasm with my April full month of nothing new. I'm really excited about this month. Tomorrow I will start working on my second Juvia's Place palette, so keep an eye out for that video next week. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope that you guys are having a great day, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye. So to keep things nice and glowy, I'm going to go in what... Oh my goodness, why can I not say that sentence? Tour stick in the color, where's the, what? Thank you for stopping by. I said that 4 times, Mandy. 4 times. Look at that bicep. Welcome to my channel. That was Arnold, in case you